My name is Richard Gulbransen, born in New Westminster. I've been involved with the fishing industry most of my life. My father, my grandfather were all involved with it, so I've got quite a history of fishing. I was transferred here in 1989. Before that, I was still involved with different locations in Alert Bay and Namu before that, prior to that. When I arrived here, the fishing industry here was still thriving very much so, and I was in charge of BC Packers operation over in Quadiaski Cove, and we had a fleet of 46 seine boats working for us, plus all the seine boats coming up fishing this area. I'd be responsible for looking after monitoring the fishery going out on the coast. I'd be out with the fishing fleet when they're fishing and monitoring the catching, and then monitoring the offloading, and the fishing season, the fishing week was over, loading the vessels to get them back to the plant for processing. And basically we had like 46 seine boats, a few gillnet boats and trawlers working for us too, so that was quite a fleet to look after, plus the fact we had a location that was looking after Alert Bay at the same time too, and that was another 42 seine boats up there. So, and you're looking at about 200 fishermen you're looking after, so it's a pretty busy time. And that's all behind us now. It's not happening anymore. Basically what happened is that the government imposed more and more regulations, and then we had a period of the fishing sort of went downhill a little bit, and it was the reason we don't really know what happened, but it seemed to me what really did happen out there is that we had a lot of dead water out in the middle of the Gulf of Alaska, which is the breeding grounds, and that's the nursery grounds where the salmon go, especially the sockeye and the chum salmon. They go the farthest out, and they're out in the middle of the Pacific, in the Gulf of Alaska, in that area there, and they had that big blob of dead water out there for 3 or 4 years, and that's what really knocked the runs back, because in 2010 and 2014 we had huge big runs of sockeye salmon going through. In the last few years there hasn't been very little coming back. Last year showed a sign of some improvement coming back, so hopefully that's continuation. I think it will be.
So what can you tell me about the BCP 45 specifically?
Well, that was built in 1927. Built by BC Packers. They built that boat, they owned it for a few years, they sold it, they bought it back and they resold it, and they bought it back again. And then it was, basically then the last person to buy it was Ollie Chickite. He was the last person to, and he got that boat for a very reasonable price, like $1 to make it legal. I won't tell you what we paid for it. As a company, we wouldn't be allowed to.
So did you know Ollie Chickite then?
Very well. And his brother knew him. He was my best friend. Super nice people to deal with and to be around. Always on the happy side, you know. And Ollie was very well respected in this town. When he passed away there was over 750 people at his funeral. That's amazing for that person. Be from Quadro Island to be that well respected, you know, as he was in town here. And he really went to a lot of effort to get the boat here in the museum. When this museum was built, I think they had plans on getting the boat back here. I know that Ollie went to Vancouver, Victoria, Ottawa, Vancouver. He'd come to my office and show me all the papers and everything else, but nobody paid much attention to him. They finally got into Vancouver Maritime Museum, and they did not look after it very well. They used it as a workboat down there. Basically, right from the get-go, they wanted to try and get the boat back up here, and that's what happened. They finally got it here. It was brought back up here, and it totally was rebuilt here. It was amazing, the job they'd done. And you look at the rebuilding, what it cost. To get a boat that size built, would be probably well over $1 million, 1.4 million or something in a shipyard. What they've done here, and that was done for minimum, no little cost, all volunteer labor, volunteer materials, the community and the people that worked in the boat. It was amazing to do this project, to keep it And you look at what it cost for the Blue Nose back in Ottawa, that was a 24 million to rebuild that one. And it's not much bigger than this one here. So Campbell River does itself proud by what happened here. And it should be well respected for that reason alone. Right now, I could tell lots of stories, but I myself was involved in the fishing industry, for many years in the company. They asked me if I wanted to come into the office, and I changed. That's what I changed, and I went into the office, and not I left the commercial fishing, but even when the fishing was taking place, I was out there with the fishing fleet, monitoring it. Anybody gets injured, run them in, or delivering parts out to the fishermen. So it was nice to be on both sides of it, to see it happening. And I loved being out in the water. That was what I really appreciated, that aspect of it. And as far as happening, well, lots happens out there. It was a very dangerous job, actually, salmon seining, because of the lines and that, and a lot of people got injured in that there. But anyways, that's why I was out there, and they had me standing by all the time out there, which I really appreciate that, because I had to run lots of guys in that got injured. And fishing stories, well, there's all kinds of stories to go on, but I can recall there was one thing happened. It happened up in Alaska. One of the bigger seine boats up there was fishing halibut up there, and they lost the propeller. And they didn't have radio phones or nothing. This was in the early 50s. And they had no way of getting, they were stranded out there in the Gulf of Alaska. And how they got in, they took down their boom and put their boom across their deck, and they put big pen boards up and made a paddle wheel out of it. They paddle wheeled into port. And that story it's a true story, and that's how they got in. There's no way of telling it. They couldn't get anybody out there to throw them in, so that's how they got them. So that's survival for you.